Welcome to this installment of Life at All Saints, Living in Faith Every Day. Today we are joined by Linda Lehman, and we are happy to have Linda with us participating in Life at All Saints. Linda has been a longtime member with her late husband, Tom, and so we will get to talk to Linda today about her involvement at All Saints, the ways that she gives of her time and talent and passions in this place. So thank you, Linda, for being with me today.
Thank you.
As a participant in Life at All Saints. So I wanted to begin, as I always do, and ask how long you and your husband, Tom, what drew you to All Saints initially and got you involved as members?
That's a funny story. We moved here from Chicago, and we lived in Worthington Hills, and many of our neighbors went to All Saints.
Really?
And they kept, suggesting that we come to church with them, suggesting that we come to church.
Had you been Lutheran?
No, I was raised, it was evangelical and Reformed,
Okay.
United Church of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was Episcopal.
Okay.
That's where he was baptized and confirmed. And neither one of us went to church very much for the first few years we were married. Anyway, when we got here, our neighbors encouraged us to come, and it just didn't seem, we joined another church and that didn't work out. And then our neighbors' kids began to get married, and we were invited to the reception, and inevitably we would be seated at the same table at the reception with David L.I.F.E and his wife.
Okay.
And inevitably, shortly thereafter, David and Tom would be over in the corner talking, philosophically discussing whatever. And before long, Tom said, I really think we ought to go to All Saints and give it a try, which we did. And shortly thereafter, we joined. This was about almost 30 years ago.
Wow.
And so we've been here a long time. It's been wonderful. It's just been a true blessing in our lives.
So Pastor Ullery, maybe through no planning or intent of his own, kind of tapped into this philosophical side of Tom and what set off a long-standing relationship.
And about that time, we started to build a house, and it was the builder went to All Saints, and he said, "You better join." And the builder had built Ullery's house, and so they let us come over and go through it to see if the builder did a good job. I don't know. It was just serendipitous. It really was.
I hear so many times people who say, well, why did you join All Saints? And it was a neighbor invited me. It was someone who told me I ought to come. And I don't know that people of my age, admittedly, do that enough. That casual, friendly, I attend this church, why don't you come along?
Yeah.
Would love to have you. I've only done that a couple times in my life, and for the life of me, I don't know why I don't do it more. Maybe intimidation, but...
a little shyness.
Yeah. Lutherans are kind of known to be kind of a quiet piety, and that doesn't always do us well. So I'd like to ask you about some of the ways that you've served at All Saints that the viewing audience may not know about.
Well, when we first joined, we mostly just came to church. And the services and the friendship of people around, getting to know people. And then one day I got a phone call from someone asking me if I'd be on the Altar Guild. And I was so honored. I was so pleased that they asked me. And I said yes, and I loved doing that. Setting up communion and preparing, cleaning things up afterward. And then got on the kitchen committee, and what else? Became a deacon. And define deacon for those who may not know what that role entails. I was just asked if I would help serve communion.
Okay.
But we had a meeting to explain more in detail about it. But basically that was it, just to assist in serving the communion at the services. And Then Tom started to get involved, and his gifts were, he was very good at building things and preparing details.
Mm-hmm.
So he got on the building committee and helped change the bulbs in the ceiling of the sanctuary and things like that. And then he also, as he retired, started to build things on his own. And he built, he built lots of things. He built the cross that you see back there.
Yeah, I purposely put that cross out because this, for those watching, is Tom's handiwork behind us.
And he was never trained in woodworking. He just wanted to learn to do it, so he did. He made the numbers on the sign out in front of the church out of metal. Wow. He made the communion stand that sits in the sanctuary. And then he was elected to church council. Those were things that he liked to do. And I don't know, we just found ways to be involved that worked for us. He went to Bible study for a couple summers before I retired, and we just enjoyed getting to know the people, feeling part of the church family.
You got plugged in and stayed plugged in.
We did.
Excellent.
And in fact, this is the place now that is where most of our friends come from. This was where the sense of belonging and the sense of feeling safe and loved was always here. And it was a true blessing for us in our life.
Thank you.
It really was.
It's very well put.
At one time, he said, we ought to think about getting a place in the columbarium. And we did. And so then when he passed away, I've been so grateful for that. I go out there and visit with him every once in a while. And that's a blessing. So it's, All Saints has been home for us. That's truly a great blessing in our lives.
So that kind of also leads into the next question about what has been most meaningful to you at All Saints. And I can tell that one of the things is the community.
Yeah.
The people.
Yes, and then about 12 years ago, 10 or 12 years ago, my grandparents, I grew up in a very rural area in upstate New York, and my grandparents were dairy farmers. And Grandma used to go to, I remember in the summer, I'd be up there visiting, and after the main dinner at noon, she would often go off to Altar Guild. And I kept wondering, what's Altar Guild, Finally, she explained to me that it was like a service group of women, and they would make things for people. They would take meals to people. They would just help others. And it wasn't a formal thing other than the fact that these ladies would get together and do these things. And the one thing I did notice about All Saints was that it was so much bigger than any church that I had been part of. And I kept thinking, we really need a way to connect with people who need help. And I didn't know how to go about doing that. And so we started to have meetings, and I invited some people. Pastor Bonnie was there, and we talked, and we kept coming back to the congregation and asking for input from the congregation. How can we help people in our church community to give them aid and help them when they need it? And so we finally got enough input that we found out that people needed home-cooked meals sometimes if they had illness. Sometimes they needed rides to the doctor. Sometimes they needed help with fixing something around the house. And then we had to deal with the legal issues of it all. If you give a ride to someone, we had to deal with the insurance and how could that work. But I don't know exactly when we finally got it all started, but it's been something that until COVID hit was very, very involved and very, very active, serving lots and lots of meals. We're starting to come back now, and we're starting to be able to deliver meals to the person's home. We have not yet been giving rides and that sort of thing. We have to be really careful about that.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a real honor and a real blessing. I mean, and we still have meetings. Holly Wooden is in charge of it now. She's taken over for me.
So the caring community is what you're talking about.
The caring community, yes, yes. And it's been a real pleasure to see it grow.
It is a blessing to a lot of people, and I think it is so vital to the life of a church that, you know, we are supposed to be a faith community, like a family, but the reality is sometimes we all get too busy to truly be that family, that help, that aid that people need. But at All Saints, we do have an intentional, caring community that does step up when people need, like you said, a ride to the doctor, help getting groceries, a meal delivered.
Yes.
Even a birthday card sent out.
And that's another funny thing. One of the ways that people suggested that we could be helping one another is to send cards. And when that came up a year or two into it, I thought, well, that's nice, but, you know, okay, let's do it. Well, now I've been on the receiving end, and I know for a fact how much it means to get those cards. When you're bereaved, when you're lonely, when you're sad, grieving, when, you know, even when it's your birthday, just to know that somebody at the church cares about you. And the notes that are written sometimes on those cards by the faithful people who are sending them that month.
This is a pre-typed up card. I mean, this is a handwritten.
No, this is, these are
very well thought out.
These are greeting cards, yes, for all different occasions, sympathy cards, birthday cards, you know, just
and when it says thinking of you, praying for you, you know that person is truly thinking of you because they may follow it up with a phone call.
That's right.
So
that's absolutely right. So that, you know, it just seems that it was meant to be and that God was leading us and developing it in ways that we hadn't imagined at the beginning when we started. And I love the name. I don't know where the name came from, who thought of it or how it came about, but caring community, and that's what we are, is caring for one another.
Yeah, thank you. So I'd like to kind of begin to conclude this video by asking, what are your hopes for All Saints in the coming years? What do you hope this faith community will continue to become, to expand upon?
Well, that's a good question. I think I'd like to see a lot, the services, we've got to still keep having services in the church, I believe. But at the same time, I'm very, very happy that we have services online for those who can't get here. I think that's very important and very special. So either way, I think we need to continue that and offer as many different ways to attend worship services as we can. The other thing I feel is so important is just the church family is such an important thing to me. And ways of including people and helping people develop relationships within the church. I love the youth program here. I think it's just fantastic, and I'm so proud to see it. And I hope that continues. I'd like to see that maybe we would do a little more for the seniors in the church community. I think we were having once monthly meetings with senior citizens, and that was before COVID, and maybe we can continue that afterward. Any way that we can get people involved and help them become friends with one another and know one another and supportive of one another and supportive of our faith. You know, that's the major thing.
Yeah.
And so if we can continue that, I think All Saints will thrive in the future. I think we've got wonderful ministers, we've got wonderful people that work here, and I have lots of hope and lots of positive things
Good.
to look forward to in the future.
Well, thank you. Well, I think we'll conclude with that. Linda, thank you so much for being in this
my pleasure.
Life at All Saints series, and for all that you do here in this place and in the community and on the caring community. Thank you for all of it. So,
You know, it's a blessing to me. You know, you give, but it helps the giver.
yeah, you're filled with something that a faith, a love, a life
Absolutely.
that you wouldn't be filled with if you just sat in a pew on Sunday and didn't do anything else.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe that with all my heart.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for all those viewing Life at All Saints. We continue to be thankful for your participation too, and viewing these videos, and may you have a blessed week.